This collection of stories for the next few editions of our program were based on the original narratives of the last generation of the enslaved who lived in the United States. The program that the stories were documented under was part of a recovery from the Great Depression in the 1930s. Under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he and his team, working with Eleanor Roosevelt and with Mary McLeod Bethune, part of the Black Brain Trust, tried to think of ways to put the economy back in motion. One of the New Deal programs, of which there were many, was the Work Progress Administration, or WPA program. But it was organized to put unemployed artists, historians, mural developers, painters, of whatever profession, of many professions, back to work during the Great Depression, which we know was the great equalizer, and they put everyone out of work. One of the Work Progress Administration projects put together and created our park system in terms of state parks, did roads, schools, and highways, built bridges, built swimming pools, things for the common good. The Slave Narrative Collection comes out of WPA programs to which historians and social workers were sent south primarily, and in some cases north, through the Great Migration to talk with many of those who were the last generation of the enslaved in this country. So it is a unique opportunity to hear from the enslaved themselves how they were treated, what their lives were like, how do they navigate that transition from enslavement to free people, and even the problems that come from that. All of these stories are housed in the Slave Narrative Collection in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Now, we know that the Library of Congress is not a lending library, rather it's a place to go for research and study of original documentation. So where these stories don't fill your appetite, one could go to Washington, D.C. to see and listen to some of these narratives that they have recorded. Many of these stories were also printed by Dover Publications using those original narratives as the base. So you can find often these stories in the printed form, which they kept close to the vernacular spoken at the time by those original narrators, and or you can go and listen to those stories firsthand if you would choose. So Dover has spent, which is a publication house, has spent several versions and alliterations of slave narratives. So check them out either way. Tons of things on the internet as to how to get to some of these materials. Always take time to educate yourself using as primary documentation as possible, because there you get the most original form of the work. So that's the Work Progress Administration with the Slave Narrative Collection.